Greetings. My name is Philip. Today I'm here with Santos and we're going to be talking about the Capricorn archetype and all things synthesized with regards to support structure of Capricorn. How do you do, Santos?
Not too good today, man.
Well, it's quite appropriate that we talk about like the Saturn ruled sign of Capricorn, while your ruling planet, if you will, as an Aryan, Mars opposes Saturn. It's a great opportunity to see that dynamic.
well, Mars exalts in Capricorn, so Aries and Capricorn do have a lot in common. One is the ruler of the equinoctial axis, Aries. The other is the ruler of the solstitial axis. Hence, the famous motif in all theology and mythologies is the sheep and the goats, and dividing the sheep from the goats. Well, this is because Aries cardinal fire denotes mysticism and spirituality. Capricorn cardinal earth denotes political, physical, material constructs. So there's a big division, but they are united through Mars. Mars is what brings them both to be malefic signs. They're actually called malefic or dark signs, and they are the ones that are ruled by either Saturn or Mars, and they are Aries, Capricorn, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Libra. The five dark signs ruled by Saturn and Mars are the malefics, the naughty boys. They are not the Messiah. They are very naughty boys.
Is it Libra because Saturn exalts in Libra?
Yeah.
That's the rest where the sun sets, and set used to be Saturn.
Yeah. They are called bitter signs. That's the correct expression.
And bitterness is what helps things develop. It's one of the four humors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a bitter, it helps the temperament go digest, and so things unsavory for the human complex, like something traumatic, something that you kind of mechanically laugh at it, like I just did. And that's helped redigest things which are unsavory for the human complex, if you will. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yep.
So these are the types of things that you see within Capricorn archetype, because it is really structuring and supporting all things. Being the 10th sign, it's the keystone at the top of the natural zodiac. If you start with Aries, not to make it more important than any other sign, they are all equal, but it is the capstone, which is the top of the sky.
Well, really, it's Cancer. Cancer is the chief cornerstone, not Capricorn.
If you're talking about the cosmology, then if you're, i.e., you're putting Cancer in the middle of the map, would that be? Is that why you put that there? And
well, I'm referring to when you go from Aries at the equinox up to the Tropic of Cancer. Cancer is the cornerstone on top, and then it goes all the way, not to just Virgo, it goes to Libra. So there are some Freemason archers that go from Aries to Virgo, but then there are others that go from Aries to Libra. They include Libra in the 7 good signs, and then the other 5 are the 7 dark, wintry night signs and the bad signs, but there's no such thing. So when they go from Aries to Libra, you'll see Cancer is always at the chief cornerstone. You can look at this up on Google. Check out Masonic Royal Arch. Google images.
Sounds very interesting. I'm excited.
But I think what you're saying is that Cancer, a Capricorn, is definitely a cornerstone because it's the 10th house, 10th sign. It's about public duties, public service, the career, your work ethic, your value that you put into it, your reputation, fame, glory, distinctions, honors, accomplishments, achievements, reputation, etc.
It's big, like the reputation, because you're so seen. You're seen in the 10th house.
Yeah.
And again, like seen is again another term for set. It sets the scene, what you do in the world repeatedly on a daily basis, because that's what gives you your reputation. So it's synonymous with the 6th house, earthy Virgo, because it's like consistency, but it's a bit more downright persistent with regards to the Capricorn. It's not better than Virgo, but it's like the grand synthesis of all of the work when it's completed, when the job's done.
Yes, yes, it is. The grand synthesis is Capricorn, achievement. You've reached that pinnacle. So if you flip it over, it is still, like you said, the zenith. It's the zenith in the chart. Well, when you okay. So when you're reading a chart, yes, Capricorn is right up on the top, of course, yes. But when you're doing the cycle of the year, well, Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer is always on top, and the Tropic of Capricorn is always on the bottom. But in the house system, correct, it denotes the mother, according to some astrologers, but I believe it's the father. But it's funny, it's a very tricky thing, that Capricorn Cancer axis, how the 4th house is denoted by many as the mother, but then many great ancient astrologers says it has to do with father-in-laws.
I feel like it's very androgynous, like, because you can flip it and see that the old crone can be Capricorn, like the old grandma, and that is even got an influx, like you could even feel like this old woman, like the spindler of time, like a spider, a metaphysical spider, like spinning the webs, the yarns, the old tales. Like we know them all, but like at the end of the day, it's like we choose to be in our forgetfulness. Sometimes the amnesia is helpful to go through and just to enjoy the more simple things in life, because Capricorn likes to grow young, like Benjamin Button, as it grows old.
Yeah. Capricorn people are very serious. You know, they're sweet, I think, as well. I know that's how I feel and know them, as sweet people, which is interesting because it's a very bitter sign. It's black, it's dark, it's Saturn's night sign. But seriousness is one of their things. They take things seriously, and they love success. They love to achieve. They love their accomplishments. They love to build. Every second builder, when you go to a building site, you know, ask the question to the builders, what's your sign? And you'll find that there'll be a Capricorn in there. There's always, I would say, at least 30% of all home builders are Capricorn suns, if not Capricorn risings.
Well, it's like it teaches so well how to be a master builder, which is how to really build something which is going to last through time, because Saturn is the long arm on the clock, and it's the long arm that does actually extend itself to the degree that we can see that we can work with our sevens. And if there's something can last a 7, that can take you further into maybe even a whole cycle of a 28, you know, eventually. And if it does fall into disrepair, we learn through these extended time cycles with Saturn and Capricorn. And so you can go into double distinguishment. And if you get like a double Saturn cycle and you've got a 57-year, 60-year kind of business, you know you're really starting to etch your groove into time. You're going to leave your mark when you're dead and gone. You can even do it in different ways. Like a Saturnian thing is to become an author and write a book, like to really infix your material into the physical world, like writing a song, or even just doing tapestry and art. Even having a child and being a parent is a Capricornian thing to do.
Yep, I would agree.
So this goat is really what represents Capricorn. And it starts at the beginning with my birthday is called Boxing Day. And in Europe, they call the goat a bok. And so Saturn is the box. And that Boxing Day, which I'm born, is originally known as St. Stephen's Day. What can we learn about this?
Which day?
St. Stephen's Day, isn't it?
Saint Stephen. What, the 25th? 26th.
That's my birthday, yes.
26th, okay. St. Stephen's Day. Well, Steve is the cross. It's Stephen, the cross.
And ST is the Saturnian glyph as well.
Yeah, Steve and Eve. So, yeah. Capricorns, there's three kinds of goats. There's the scapegoat. There's the mountain goat, and there's the pan goat.
Mm.
So the scapegoat is also to do with service. Capricorns love to serve. They're good servants. I'm sorry. Sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
Yeah, excuse me. The mutable signs are service. The cardinal signs are more sacrifice. The lamb gets sacrificed. The goat gets sacrificed. Libra is sacrificing. The crab is sacrificing because it has to wane for 6 months. So the three goats, the pan goat is where they get their sexiness from. They're very, very sexy, Capricorns.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Especially the women. I find it to be just sexy. And that's the pan goat. And they do tend to be promiscuous on the negative side as well, but that's for the unevolved Capricorns, I guess. The evolved ones tend to, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. The evolved ones tend to be more devoted and disciplined. They're very disciplined. They're very structured. Very discerning. Great depths of discernment. Their motto is, I build, I use. So they know how to use things. On the negative side, they use people. They're great users of people. They best sign for getting the best out of other people. That's the negative Capricorn. The positive.
A good Capricorn has to learn that they are good at using tools and people and different things. But if they're going to use people or their resources, they have to empower the people that they're using by making them feel recognized, making them feel good, or paying them well. And so that way they can utilize them for mutually beneficial purposes.
Mm-hmm.
That's its goal. But sometimes, if it does, so basically, a good Capricorn would give away maybe 10% of its earnings or 20% of its earnings karmically, like the 8 would have to do, because it's in a sense the teaching of how to become Christly is to become Saturn, to become Capricorn in many ways, because the path of the life path 8 is a very Saturn complex, and you have to be able to get that bottom sphere secure so you can get to the top. And in that way, it's like walking on water. In supporting someone else, you have to be able to support yourself first in doing what you do, and then you can become like able to support another. So it's about self-love before the sacrifice of giving away your excess.
Yes.
Bit like a farmer.
Mm-hmm. you'll find them sacrificing themselves, especially to public service. They love that. Aries is number 1, and so is Capricorn, 10. So they both, the sheep and the goat, they both are number 1s. The difference with the 10-1, Capricorn, is that 10 is Aten, or man, Atum, Adam. And 10 denotes the 10ness, the digital metric system, and the man. That's why they're so interested in succeeding and climbing mountains and achieving things, because that's what a man with 10 fingers, that's what they do. They use their 10 fingers. They use their skill. They're very, 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 very skillful. You know, they reach the highest levels of their craft. Jimmy Page, greatest guitarist who ever lived, Capricorn. Muhammad Ali, greatest fighter, Capricorn. So they're good at their craft, but they're very, very good. They leave everybody else for dead. Led Zeppelin's, I love talking about Led Zeppelin because you've got Jimmy Page, he's dark-haired, he's Saturnian, Capricorn, so he's set. And then you've got Robert Plant, he's a Leo, ruled by the sun, which is Horus, and golden hair, the golden mane. So you've got a Horus and Set show, and both of them, you know, you can see Saturn, you know, that darkness of Jimmy coming out in a very, very sweet and mellifluous way. And then you see that lion roaring, you know, and so you see the two archetypes. It's just amazing. I always love watching Led Zeppelin, you know, just for that Capricorn craft and that Leo growl and howling that Robert Plant does like no other.
Sounds awesome. I have to go and have a watch at that. I love to see the signs playing through things and aspects as they go through our sky set playing through things as well. It's so amusing.
Yeah, they're alchemically Led Zeppelin are perfect. John Bonham was a Gemini, so Gemini rules the arms and the hands, and opposite the hips, the legs. So he was good with his feet. He could do double bass drum with 1 foot. He used to laugh at these guys who had two pedals for the bass drum, because he said, I can do faster and more with 1 foot than they can do with their 2. So he thought that was a joke, you know, but so it was. And then John Paul Jones was another Capricorn, and that was good because he grounded them as well. They're very grounding Saturnians. They're structured. So here you've got the 2 guitarists, Capricorns, with their craft. Then you've got a Gemini drummer, the best drummer who ever lived. And then you've got this Leo Horus archetype, Robert Plant. It's just absolutely alchemically the perfect band, astrologically speaking.
I have to go and have a check it out. Sounds like a good performance. I miss live music.
And it's funny, he reminds me of Brian May, and Brian May is opposite, he's Cancerian. And they are good with their hands, Cancerians. And what's interesting is that Jimmy Page has a Cancer moon. So they look similar. They play with a similar feminine, because they're both feminine signs. They both play with that feminine touch. It's just incredible. I love both of them, you know.
So do you notice the difference when you have like Saturn in Cancer or the moon in Capricorn? These, because they're in their opposing suns. Have you noticed any people that you can think of at the top of your head with these?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good thing for a start, to have the luminaries in opposite signs. Let me just pull up Jimmy Page's You know, we should do, after we finish this series, we should do a show on all the guitarists and their signs and how their music comes out through their signs. I've already got that.
That would
in
be
my
a really
head.
good video.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, we should make that our first one to do after these. Or we could always do it in between. I'm open to that.
Yeah, why Stevie Ray Vaughan, for instance, who is a Libran, why he played such a way, why Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath played, he's an Aquarian, in such a way. Why Van Halen, huh?
I love it that they play the god roles, they play the archetypes so well. These different performers of the modern day, they're just the modern day encapsulation of the ancient archetypes, right?
They do, and I'd love to be able to explain that how the archetype comes through their music, which I can do, and it's going to be just amazing. It's going to be a great show. But Jimmy Page was born with Sun on the 17th degree of Capricorn and Moon on the 3rd degree of Cancer. So it's a waxing moon, which is good. It's in the 8th house, which means great creativity. And Saturn is also in the 8th house. So Saturn and the moon in the 8th house will give him all of that. It transformed his band, you know, from sort of Mississippi Delta blues, hard rock to something of a classic transcendental, very folkish kind of band. So lots of transformation in Jimmy's life and lots of creativity. Moon in Cancer in the 8th house, cannot beat that for creativity. Just absolutely incredible. And his moon conjunct, a sun conjunct Mercury retrograding on the 17th degree. That Mercury retrograding, that tells you a lot about his style of, you know, how he plays. Very practical way, very skillful, very, very crafty.
I like that.
One of the great Capricorns of history, for sure.
Coming back to the word craft, like, because craft is like our body, and the goat knows all layers of the body. And so for music and terminology, the body is like a scale. And so if we know all the harmonics, all the key tones, like the gardener has some keys on their belt line, and they know how to go up to the tippity top of their consciousness, and they know to go down to the root and beyond into the catacombs of the mountain. And so we know the whole scale, we know the whole craft, we know our craft as Capricorns. It's just if we awaken to that knowledge of how to go through the whole arpeggio of the orchestration of a life, of creation, of the 3D experience, that is the realization of self as a Capricorn. And then thinking, well, what can one perceive to draw in? What can one manifest? If one can sow a seed, what will one put in the germination of this seed so that it can, and will one show up and do the integral part of sustaining it while it grows so that it can become this thing? Because if that's the case, one can actually bring anything through once they realize themselves and their craft. Would you reckon this is a strong Capricornian thing? Would you agree, Santos?
Yep, we all have Capricorn in us. We have all 12. So everyone is able to express that archetype through them. I believe we have 12 sets of personalities, and they are all from the 12 signs. So we can all produce the Capricorn and bring it out in us. It just depends on which house it's in and how we apply it. If it's in the 10th house, it means we bring great skills and capacity to our career and our work ethic. If it's in the 5th house, it means we are very sensual when it comes to romance, etc., etc.
I've got it in the fourth.
So that means you're very structured at home, you're very organized, disciplined, you have order, I guess, you know, a sense of order. You do things in a particular way. You probably work at home, work from home. Yeah, stuff like that.
My girlfriend's got Capricorn in the 8th house with her moon, and she's got Mercury, Venus, Uranus, Saturn, and Rahu all in Capricorn in the 8th house. That's a stellium. And so basically, when Saturn is at home, it's going to always reinforce and stabilize things. And it's going to we're going to look for the longevity, because it's all about time. And so once we realize that Saturn can work with time in multifaceted layers at the same time, that's like a clock with multiple different cogs spinning in it, like a grandfather clock, right? This is the interdimensional kind of consciousness, which we're kind of opening up to and re-realizing at these points now, like the Rudolf Steiners of this world.
Yep. So, yeah, they're all about the public and getting out there and succeeding. When it comes to the Capricorn Cancer axis, Cancer will be the home, Capricorn will be society. Well, I'd put public there, but I'm reading from a book here. Cancer is private self, Capricorn is public self. Cancer is inner softness, Capricorn is outer shell. Cancer is nutrients, Capricorn is accomplishment. Cancer is family, Capricorn is career. Cancer is response, Capricorn is responsibility. So that's pretty interesting that, you know, they have that. Cancer stays at home, the Capricorn goes out. He's always out. You know, he's interested in what's out about in the world and how we can change it and how we can build a better world, you know. And when it comes...
You can see that maybe the Scrooge archetype was the Capricorn when it's gone cranky and old. Like,
oh, yeah.
But he has a awakening, doesn't it? Scrooge, as the ghosts, the three ghosts visit Scrooge, and it brings him back to his childhood spirit.
Yep, they are real Scrooges. They're very tight, man. Woo boy. Oh, man. They are Scrooges. They really do not like to, you know, feel like they don't want buyer's remorse, definitely. They love getting a good deal and they hang on to their money, good savers. But I was going to say, in the Lord's Prayer, Capricorn is for thine is the kingdom. So if we look at the Lord's Prayer, we will see the 12 signs unfolding, starting with Aries. Our Father who art in heaven, Aries, the cerebrum, the sun. Hallowed be thy name, Aries, because Aries is I am, and that's the name of God. Hallowed be that name. Thy kingdom come, Taurus. Taurus is about the kingdom, the bull market. Groundedness. Thy will be done, Gemini, which is the messenger or the doer of the will of God. So he does the will, thy will be done. On earth, Cancer. Cancer is the sister of the earth and the ovaries of the world. So she represents the earth. As in heaven, that's the sun. The sun rules the heavens. Give us our daily bread, Virgo. She is the one who holds the corn sheaf in her hands. She's serving humanity with bread. And it's the harvest month. That's when you make bread. You harvest the wheat and the ovens are baking in Virgo. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. Well, that's Libra. Please forgive me, God, as I forgive the ones who have sinned against me. Lead us not into temptation, Scorpio, the generative system, sexuality, generation. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Sagittarius, the deliverer, he shoots your enemies. For thine is the kingdom, Capricorn, the house and the sign of the state, the kingdom. The power, Aquarius, very electrical, very powerful people. And the glory, Pisces, the last sign, completion. Everything is glorified forever and ever. And that's the 13th sign, the circle, forever and ever. So that's astrology. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. That's all astrological. Every speech, every movie, every cosmology, every nursery rhyme, every fairy tale starts in Aries and ends in Capricorn. And that's provable because I, for one, have done it many, many, many times.
So Vine is the kingdom. It's like, well, that's quite a big responsibility.
Yep. Yep.
Because this is why it takes Saturn 28 years to do the whole cycle, because it can only attend to 30 degrees over the course of 3 or so years at a time. Because it's like, well, for instance, if it is a garden, it's going to take a while to do behind the shed at the back of the garden. So the front of the house isn't going to get done until maybe a few months or years down the line, right?
Yep, they do things very, very cautiously and slowly. They're not fast. Capricorns are generally lovers and doers of the slow mode. Aries, very fast. We rule the cerebrospinal nervous system. They rule the skeletal system. So if you look at a Capricorn, notice their bones. You watch what happens when you... Notice their skeleton. Contemplate them.
Often Capricorns does have problems with their bone structure. Often it can be like it might not be that it's better. It might be that more often it's falling into disrepair, like with regards to posture. I know for myself, I don't know if you can see, if I was to sit up straight, it's much better. But this would be what you would want. But yet the spine, often people have suffered with spina bifida in Capricorn. I know a few people who've Capricorn who've done that.
Yep. Yeah.
So they need to. This is because actually they're going out their way supporting other people a lot when they're younger, maybe putting their back out for others.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's a low thing, right?
They work hard. They put their backs out for people. Yes, and yeah, they have a spine. They're not cowards. They will take things on, Muhammad Ali, So a Capricorn is one to be respected. They get their respect. They earn it. A lot of people don't like Capricorns. It's one of the most hated signs, together with Scorpio and Aries. And Leo. Leo's also one where people tend to. I've got both Aries and Leo, Leo rising. So, yeah, I've got a hater or two.
It's okay though. They're our biggest fans.
Yeah, they spur us on even more. We're good shepherds. We are both number ones. So Arians truly look after their flocks. They shepherd their flock, and so do Capricorns. They're good leaders, the best leaders. I would say Capricorn will be the best leaders. Then Libra, then Aries, then Cancer. If you're going to go with cardinal signs, there may be other signs that are good in leadership skills, but cardinals are the leaders.
That's part of the sacrificial situation there, being a cardinal, isn't it? Because you've got to leave something behind to lead.
Yeah.
Not necessarily somebody, but like maybe some part of the self, some attachment, some conditioning, something. But this is why the Saturn carries the sickle, doesn't it? Which is the sine wave, the matter of cross, and then the sine wave, which cuts you free through the cycles.
Well, it's interesting you say that you have to leave something behind. Well, you do, because every time you enter a cardinal sign, you've left a season, because they are the season starters. Aries begins spring, Cancer summer, Libra autumn, and Capricorn winter. But on the 21st of the equinoxes and solstices, you leave behind the season and you start a new one afresh. So it's quite correct what you say.
And quite distinctive, isn't it? Like we just come from mutable Gemini into Cancer quite recently, and it seems like a world apart.
Yeah.
And so with regards to setting the scene, a lot of it is also about the belief systems of a Capricorn. Their esteem has to be strong. So they need the results to come in very often. Their commitment is because they need the feedback loop to say that they're good and they're nourishing. Because if they don't have the self-esteem, their belief systems will make a poor harvest, in a sense. Like the scene that they set is all about the faith in themselves and the appreciation that they might receive from others in the process.
Very true. Very true. Same with Arians. They need reassurance. And when they get that, they need to feel needed, because they're sacrificing themselves.
So Capricorn's got Leo in the 8th and it's got Pisces in the 3rd. So it's like they're the more kind of loving, creative, like kind of sympathetic, vulnerable, like kind of energies when they're communicating back and forth in interpersonal relationships. So really the exterior might be tough, but when you get into communion with a Capricorn, it is much more of a joy. You know, you wouldn't know maybe a lot of the hardships because you're just like, well, let's not bring that in to this interaction. We're doing business of a playful manner or whatever it may be.
Yep. Very true. Very playful. They like to play and have fun. Little children, you'll find the ones that climb to the top of the swings or the top of the slide or the top, they're always doing acrobatics, climbing trees. My sister, 2 years older than me, Angela, was Capricorn. And so she used to love climbing trees and doing gymnastics, and she was just good at it. And, you know, I was as well, but she was good. She used to love hanging off branches with a knee, you know, there's a branch and there's a knees, and she'd just dangle, and she used to love it. And I can remember this clearly, you know. She was so Capricorn. Also, she has a moon in Capricorn, so she's double. And she used to run after me and pull my hair. She used to know how to grab just a little bit of hair and pull it, and she'd almost lift me off the ground because I was smaller than her, until until because we were very cheeky toward each other. So love to instigate trouble, you know, real troublemakers we are. And so especially Capricorns, they love getting into trouble and getting out of trouble. But Capricorns, best at getting into trouble. So I grew up, and then eventually I started fighting back, and that all ended. But she used to grab the back of the hair too. Those are the ones that hurt the most. She used to just run after me. She was faster than me, and she'd pull it up, you know, and I'm like,
Sounds like a good experience. I was an only child, Capricorn, so my friend was TV. TV taught me everything from a young age. No, that's a different experience. That's one of the reasons I got the bad back. But with regards to Pan, we learned a lot because actually it's the shadow that Capricorn is working with a lot of the time, because it takes so long to get around and do all the things over the course of the 28 years, Saturn. It does cast a long shadow, you could suggest, on the other parts that it isn't maintaining. And so those are the things that it has to deal with within its dark nights of the soul. And we see like this can bring around the opportunity to become quite empowered spiritually once it has integrated its shadow. However, when it's looming around and not taking responsibility for its own shadow, I would suggest that it can trip over itself and get itself snared up into more troubles. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. Long shadow is the winter. So they cast a long shadow over all the other inferior signs. If you want to look at it that way, you know, everybody loves their sign. So that's probably one way that they would feel superior. Not that they do, I'm not saying that, but, you know, they know how to do things well, you know, and they're, you know, they probably use that to sometimes look down on the negative side on others as not being as, you know, valuable when it comes to knowing how to do things. They'll be the first one to jump up and say, hey, you know, I know how to do it. So in the situation where they're reacting in an accident or something, you'll find that they will find a practical way of helping rather than, you know, emotional or mental. You know, some people in an accident, for instance, the Cancerians will be there comforting the person. The Capricorn will be saying, you know, what can I do? How can we make him more comfortable? You know, they'll be doing stuff, you know?
Yeah. So we're working with this like crisis. Capricorn can really come into its own. Like I feel like it's able to be calm and able to be it can do whatever roles necessary. I mean, I remember telling jokes in crisis situations, and I remember being able to help people to be in the best. Delegation is a great Capricornian trait. So like we might not always have the skills, but we know where people need to be, so we can put them in the right places.
Yeah, they're always going to be handy in that way. Yeah, for sure. This is what Firmicus Maternus says in Mathesios. I would recommend everybody get this book. I can send you a PDF. I'm reading from the PDF here if you want. But Mathesios Firmicus Maternus is one of my favorite astrologers. And he lived in the 4th century in the time of Neoplatonism and syncretism. And he says, if the ascendant is in Capricorn, the native will always show pure affection for his friends. He will be tricky and happy and will lack nothing for his subsistence. He will travel. Those he helps will always be ungrateful. He will be likable, but of small mind. He will annoy the gods with long-winded prayers, but his resources will be plentiful. He will be involved with passionate women, but will be the kind who curses them once his pleasure is fulfilled. The secrets of sacred rites, or a foreign way of life, or a hidden religion will be known to him.
It's interesting, isn't it? But like because a hidden religion will be known to him. Like this is about the internal metaphysical world. I feel, especially with Sagittarius falling into the 12th house there of Capricorn. And it's something that is really there from the get-go. Maybe it's something that dawns upon the Capricorn energy over the course of time. They awaken to things. We all have Capricorn, so we all, as we say, we all have a 10th house. We're all going to have Saturn somewhere. So something dawns upon us over the course of time. Time is a herb. It's an aromatic herb, Thyme. And so it airs out all layers of the mountain through time. And it is that we sometimes have to sustain ourselves through hard times. Like the goat might go and eat the grass and then run out of grass. So it has to go down the path where it's already eaten all the grass, go down and then finally find a path back up to the middle roads or the highlands where there's much more rich grass for it to nourish oneself. But it can go without for a certain amount of time because it's managed to work so hard consistently prior to that. But it has to learn about the inner resources.
Yeah, when Firmicus Macturnus said they are of small mind, he didn't mean that they're mentally challenged at all. He just meant that Saturn restricts and limits. So even though he said they are happy people, he said, but of small mind. So they can reduce with their mind. They sometimes tend to limit things and make things, you know, according to their way. They don't expand their mind as easily as, say, an Aquarian or a Libran.
Even I say this, like, I'm quite an expanded mind chap, but even I like to put things into boxes, and it's irritating to me. I find it irritating because I'm like, well, what if we just do this? It's like, well, there's so much more, you know. But this is maybe the set tradition. This is the routine. Like, these things can be very crusty and stereotypical of one of myself, I say. But then, like, if someone suggests something different, one can easily break from that paradigm. But it's a bit like one has to walk oneself through that experience.
Yep.
Like a change in diet, for instance, or a change in routine, just something small like that. That's the way I feel these things.
Yeah.
We're control freaks.
Yes, very much. But at the same time, you are in control because that's what you do well. So controlling others they can be bossy. Capricorns can be bossy because it's Saturn. They always think they're your older brother, you know, big brother or big sister or your daddy or your mummy. You know, they carry an air of stature. You know, they've got automatically, you know, they've got this born stature, you know, so they are respected in that way, even if they are hated.
Master builders. So this is the thing. It's like in the Bok saga, the Capricorn of the Bok would be the breeder of the society, which is a big opportunity and responsibility. But this is something which we've fallen from in our modern day society. But it's very interesting because it goes back to something which I'm going to start researching, which is not just that root language, but also the cube language of the vocal box. This is the language of all tones and frequencies, which is really what we can master and bring back a big healing to ourselves since we've actually been using this English so frequently. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree. Capricorn has the ability to make a lot of structure and order in their workplace, in public, etc. Sorry, I just got distracted.
It's all right. It's a bit like the mountain is a bit like the tablets, isn't it? So if whatever you etch into the mountain is a bit like the script in a way.
Yep.
Because if you see, like when we had last year, that pileup of Pluto, Jupiter, and Capricorn setting the scene into the archetype of Capricorn, it's like that was changing the mold, changing the template for what traditions are.
Yep. Yep, they do. They do that. They can be trendsetters. I like the way they dress. I think Sagittarians are the best dressers. But Capricorn had a good style as well. Yeah, fun people. I think I love them. I love watching their skeletal nature. It's, it's interesting. They're very, very pliable with their bones somehow. It's just incredible what they can do on that level.
I've never broken a bone myself, but I always compliment a Venus in Capricorn on their bone structure very often. Favorite one, I don't know if you know this, the English comedy Absolutely Fabulous.
No.
Oh, well, there's this woman called Patsy, and she's got this very, very big bone structure on her cheeks. Often you might see that kind of thing.
You do, yeah. Some Capricorns have got this very sturdy, heavy bones, and others have flimsy bones and very pliable. And so there's a big contrast, but you'll know what I mean when you start noticing Capricorns and their bones. You'll know what I mean. You'll get it.
Right, it's like they draw the knees is particularly, and my girlfriend's Capricorn moon, and she's got tiny little kneecaps. It's quite cute.
Yeah, they generally tend to break bones.
Because it's about the boundaries, isn't it? Because Saturn's obviously got its rings, and it's about as far as the eye can see with regards to Saturn. And so it's really a big thing with regards to the physical boundary of time. And as far as I can see, that is about the spirit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So
because the earth signs contain all the other elements. They have air, water, and fire in them as well. So the earth signs are the more complete of all.
So
all right.
I'm grateful for your time today, Santos. And I know that we're just going to be going through Aquarius next, which is where Saturn is. And so I'm excited to be talking about that. But thank you.
And my solar return.
It's your solar return coming up, yes?
And my son's. He was born when I was 29 years old. So my son will be turning 29. I'm 58. So we're both coming into our Saturn returns.
What degree is your Saturn, may I ask?
19.
Oh, so it'll be next year that it comes on properly, but now it's just behind it.
Yep.
Happening. That's pretty cool though, because like it's like coming through for some results, but also coming through for initiation into the next cycle. I love it.
Exactly, because 10 is an even number, but when it reduces down to 1, it's odd. So, and that's what happens with all the teens, you know. So 11 is odd, but 1 and 1 is 2, which is even. So that happens all the way to 20. So it's interesting how the second set of numbers after 10, from 10 to 20, they have both sexes in them. So always think about that, because if you were born, I was born on the 24th of March. So 24 is obviously even. Sorry. I shouldn't have used that example. It goes back to normal in the 20s.
Androgynous, they're more androgynous, like the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces.
Probably anyone between 10 and 19. So
that's interesting. Yeah, there's so many multifaceted weaves with regards to these spectrums.
For sure.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much.
Brother.
Enjoy your life.
Nice chatting with you on Capricorn. We'll see you in Aquarius.
Sounds good to me. And we'll speak. When is your solar return? What date?
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that. I don't know.
We've got it coming up. Maybe we'll speak before then. But either way, enjoy your moments. Have a good afternoon, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you.